So, hello everybody. Welcome to the 50th discussion of our book club. And this time we are discussing Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. We'll see a bit about the author, especially those parts of her life which mirror with Scarlett's life and mirror with Gone with the Wind, especially. And we'll also see about the book, the themes explode, and some quotes from the book. So, Margaret Mitchell is an American novelist and journalist. She, in fact, wrote only this one book in her lifetime. And for this, she won the National Book Award for Fiction for Most Distinguished Novel of 1936 and the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1937. In fact, unfortunately, she died very early. She died at about 48 years of age in a motor accident. And after her death, some of her writings, a novella and some newspaper articles were also published as books. In fact, the novella was one which she had submitted along with Gone with the Wind to the publisher. And the publisher felt the novella was very small. So he felt it is not book length, and they went ahead and published Gone with the Wind. She's been a lifelong resident of Georgia, and most of what we see in the novel of Georgia or Atlanta have been all based on her experiences of these places. But she was born after the Civil War. So her idea of the Civil War is more about what she hears from her grandfather and other relatives around her. So her grandfather was had enlisted in the Confederate States Army, and he served in the Texas Brigade. He was severely wounded in the Battle of Sharpsburg. He was demoted for inefficiency, and he also served as a nurse in Atlanta. Mitchell spent her early childhood on Jackson Hill, which is in the east of downtown Atlanta. Her family lived near her maternal grandmother, Annie Stephens, in a Victorian house painted bright red with yellow trim, very similar to Scarlett's house. And Jackson Hill was actually an old affluent part of the city. At the bottom of Jackson Hill was an area of African American homes and businesses called Darktown. So there was an Atlanta race riot which occurred over 4 days in September when Mitchell was about 5 years old. So local white newspapers printed unfounded rumors that several white women had been assaulted by black men. And this prompted an angry mob of about 10,000 to assemble in the streets, pulling black people from streetcars, beating and killing dozens of black people over the next 3 days. Shortly after this incident, in fact, Mitchell and her family moved to the east side of Peachtree Street, which was just north of the 17th Street in Atlanta. Again, Peachtree Street is something which we come across in the book. So, while the South exists as a geographical region in the US, it's also said to exist as a place of imagination of writers. So most of the ways in which the South is described by writers who came after the Civil War is more from imagination than from reality. It's also more from what they hear from their relatives, which would of course be a more softer picture than what was in reality over there. So an image of the South was fixed in Mitchell's imagination when she was about 6 years old. Her mother took her on a buggy tour through ruined plantations and Sherman's sentinels, the brick and stone chimneys that remained, after the William Sherman's march and torch through Georgia. So on summer vacations, she visited her maternal grandaunts, both of whom were still living, in the plantation home in Jonesboro. So the maternal aunts called, Mammy Fitzgerald and Sarah Fitzgerald, both of them were about 21 years old and 13 years old when the Civil War began. So they had a vivid, picture which they used to paint to Mitchell about life in the South during those years. And a lot of whatever she wrote is also based on her conversations with her grandmother, with these,
இல்லப்பா ஆளே காணோம்.
so yeah, just sorry, 1 minute. Okay. So Gone with the Wind was popular with American readers right from the outset, and it was the top American fiction bestseller in 1936 and 1937. More than 30 million copies have been printed worldwide. In 1939, the movie was released, which also became a super duper hit. So the author tentatively titled the novel as Tomorrow is Another Day, which was from the last line of the book. And she also had a lot of another, proposed titles. However, the finally the title which came was was the title Gone with the Wind, and she also uses this title in the novel in when she wonders if a home is still standing or whether it has gone with the wind which had swept through Georgia. I don't know if many of you noticed that. So that's the only place where that term is mentioned in the book. So, in a general sense, the title is a metaphor for the demise of a way of life in the South before the Civil War. Also, by the way, please feel free anytime to unmute yourself and join in the conversation. So, as far as the genre of the novel is concerned, it said that it's a coming of age novel. Sometimes there's this thing that it's a historical novel. It's also said that this could be a historical romance. Uh, there was another thing also, a kind of literature which was called as anti-Tom literature. So basically, these were literary works which were written in response to Uncle Tom's Cabin. So there was these 19th century pro-slavery novels and other literary works which were written in response to Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin. These are also known as plantation literature, and they were mainly written by authors from the southern United States. So books in this genre attempted to show that slavery was beneficial to African Americans and that the evils of slavery, as depicted in Uncle Tom's Cabin, was actually overblown and incorrect. So
Would you
God,
know, Archana, any
yeah.
other books in this genre?
Yes, there were two, three very apparently very popular ones. I didn't note it down, but I can share the list with you. That there
Yeah,
are
never mind.
two, three. Yeah, there were. I think apparently there are about 20 to 30 which were there, written quickly one after the other in this genre, and two of them are very popular. So I'll share the books of them. Though very
Yeah.
popular, still I think it's still new to us, Tulika. I don't
Ah,
think
that's
we've
right.
heard of it.
I
Yeah.
don't remember having read
I,
anything like
anything.
that. Yeah.
In fact, I think except Gone with the Wind, I don't think anything we have read which is a very well known for us. But apparently these two are also popular. I'll do share the names.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So I think yeah. So let me. I think most interesting part of it has been the themes, and one of the main themes of the book is basically survival. So. Uh, this is Margaret Mitchell's word. So, if Gone with the Wind has a theme, it is that of survival. So, what makes some people come through catastrophes and others apparently just as able, strong, and brave to go under? It happens in every upheaval. Some people survive, others don't. What qualities are in those who fight their way through triumphantly and that are lacking in those that go under? I only know that survivors used to call that quality gumption. So I wrote about people who had gumption and people who didn't. So at its core, the novel is about doing whatever it takes to survive emotionally, socially, and materially. So Scarlett becomes the embodiment of grit, adaptability, and fierce determination in the face of war, loss, and upheaval. Uh, so one of the things also which I felt was they do did apparently they owned a lot of land, they owned all these plantations, but without the slaves to work it, they had no capability to actually grow anything over there, most of them. So this is something I felt which makes Scarlett really different, and she did take up that that call to survive and do something and earn it in some way or the other. Maybe not always what she did was right, but I think she showed the guts, I think, which were mostly missing in most of the other characters. So that brought me to the other theme, which is gender roles and female agency. So Scarlett defies the expectations placed on Southern women. She's running businesses, she's making ruthless decisions, and she's prioritizing survival over propriety. So the novel contrasts performance of femininity with practical strength. Her all the other men are mostly shown very you know, very, I would say spineless probably is the right word for this. So her love interest, Ashley Wilkes, lacks manliness, and her husband's, the calf-like is the term which is used to describe Charles Hamilton, and the old maid in breeches is used to describe Frank Kennedy. All of them are unmanly as well. So Mitchell is criticizing masculinity in Southern society since Reconstruction. So even Rhett Butler, the well-groomed dandy, is effeminate. There's a lot of things, places where she describes that he's more things about his clothes, how he wears, how he dresses. He knows more about women. So there are still, even with him, there are some underlying messages of not enough masculinity, which is put. So Charles, Frank, Ashley all represent the importance of the post-war white South. Its power and influence have been diminished. Class, privilege, and social change. So Mitchell frames the antebellum South. So actually, this is a new term which I learned because of the book. So antebellum South basically means the South before the Civil War. So that's the terminology with which it's described. So she frames the antebellum South as a romantic world fading into memory. So the novel explores the collapse of old values, traditions, and hierarchies, revealing how nostalgia can actually distort the historical truth of the place. The breakdown of class structures post-war forces characters to reassess their identities. So old money families are falling, opportunities are rising. The power shifts in very unexpected ways. So for this, there were some terms which were used in the South during those times, which is what we see in the book also. Usually, scalawag means a loafer or a rogue, but in the South, a scalawag is someone who was a Southerner but who turned Republican and he became very profitable. So Rhett Butler is accused of being a damn scalawag. And in addition to scalawags, the other type of names which are given for scoundrels are Yankees, who are the people from the north. Carpetbaggers. Carpetbaggers are basically those northerners who come to the south, settle down, and make a profit. Again, Republicans, overseers, all these are like considered as scoundrels in the book. And the another interesting theme which is explored is the social status of the Irish people in America. So we see the incident where a young Yankee woman asks Scarlett for advice on whom she could appoint as a nurse for her children. And Scarlett suggests that you must have a darky. And the Yankee woman immediately is very disgusted. And she's like, I was hoping for an Irish maid, a Bridget. So our Irish maids were called as Bridgets over there. So that way, one point of view is that African Americans and Irish Americans were treated precisely in the same way in Gone with the Wind. Is a point of view which is given by David O'Connell in his book. But there's also another point of view. So ethnic slurs on the Irish and Irish stereotypes pervade the novel, he says, and Scarlett is not an exception. And in fact, there's this place where Jonas Wilkerson, he calls Scarlett is also Irish American. Her father's come from Ireland and settled here. So he calls her you high flying, bog trotting Irish. So, but on the other hand, they say despite all that, it was very clear that Irish Americans were enslavers. They held African Americans in bondage. So obviously, the two groups are not equivalent. Uh, so there have been like both points of view that even Irish Americans didn't have the same kind of, we're not American enough for the Americans, was another point of view which was rare. The another important theme in the book is about loss and longing and change. So whether it's lost love, lost homeland, or lost identity, it's completely in the novel is saturated with longing. So much of its emotional power lies in how the characters grieve, what is gone, whether it is real or imagined. And the characters are constantly having to readapt themselves and reinvent themselves to new worlds, especially with Scarlett. So, one of the main questions that the novel asks is who are we when everything familiar is stripped away? And each one changes in different ways in the book. So the Civil War acts as a force that strips characters of the comfort and illusions. It exposes character, reshapes the society, and serves as a catalyst for reinvention in the book. Okay, so before I start the next main topic, would anyone want to share anything, or should I finish it? Should I? I'll just go ahead and finish the remaining part of the presentation, and then we'll have a discussion.
Okay, that would be fine.
Okay.
We can have our points if they are there already in the PowerPoint. We need not repeat them.
Okay. Sure,
They
Shyam.
let us complete.
Okay. So I kept the most important point for the last. So race, slavery, and the ideology of the Old South. So Margaret Mitchell presents the Old South through a very nostalgic, deeply romanticized lens, one that glorifies plantation life and erases the brutality of slavery. So the novel portrays enslaved people as very loyal, childlike, and content, and it's reinforcing the racist stereotypes that were widely accepted in early 20th century white Southern culture. So through characters like Mammy, Prissy, and Polk, Mitchell reduces Black individuals to caricatures whose primary purpose is to support or reflect the lives of white characters. By the way, Mammy is not a name. Mammy is the name given to any Black lady who takes care of the white children in a plantation household. So till the end, we don't even know what is Mammy's actual name. You know, so she just creates them like caricatures, cardboard characters. She doesn't give them any life or anything about them that we come to know. So their inner worlds, fears, ambitions, and humanity are never explored, creating a narrative that centers white comfort while silencing the Black reality. Again, this portrayal reinforces the ideology of the lost cause. Again, it's a revisionist myth that framed the Confederacy as something noble, slavery as benign, and the Civil War as a tragic fight for a gracious way of life. Mitchell's narrative suggests that the collapse of the Old South was a cultural loss, not a necessary dismantling of an oppressive system. So, by framing Reconstruction as chaotic and positioning formerly enslaved people as unprepared for freedom, the novel again perpetuates racist ideas about hierarchy and order. So, there are passages where she says these people who don't know anything have been suddenly asked to run the place, so they don't know anything. So, Reconstruction is very chaotic. There are a lot of such references which come in the book. So, for modern readers, this theme is where the book becomes most troubling and most important to read critically. It reveals how literature can shape historical memory and normalize injustice. So, examining this theme encourages us to confront the power of storytelling, how beloved narratives can actually obscure truth. It can reinforce harmful ideologies and influence generations of understanding. Reading the novel with awareness allows us to appreciate its literary qualities while acknowledging the violence and erasure embedded in its worldview. So, some historical accounts from real history, which are different from what is mentioned in Gone with the Wind. So, while Gone with the Wind depicts slavery as orderly, harmonious, and paternalistic, real historical account paints a very starkly different picture. Enslaved people lived under constant surveillance, violence, and the threat of being sold away from their families. So, diaries, plantation records, and there are many first hand testimonies, especially those collected in the WPA slave narratives, which reveal a world of forced labor, physical punishment, sexual exploitation, and systemic terror. Far from being loyal or content, enslaved people resisted whenever possible through sabotage. They escaped. There was coded communication. They were maintained different cultural and spiritual traditions, all of which is not shown at all in the book. So, Reconstruction, which Mitchell portrays as chaotic and dangerous, is likewise very misrepresented. So, historians such as Eric Foner show that Reconstruction was a radical movement of democratic expansion. where formerly enslaved people built schools, they held political office, they reunited families, and shaped new futures until white supremacist violence dismantled these gains. So every time they would do something, the white supremacist violence would strike at them, but they still kept doing it. And some of the popular novels which speak about a different view of slavery uh, when compared to what we read in Gone with the Wind are what I've mentioned here. We've read Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. This is the other one, Beloved, is also um, very good. Then Frederick Douglass's narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass. He was a former slave who speaks about what he went through. Harriet Jacobs' incidents in the life of a slave girl. Again, she was a slave girl who speaks about her personal incidents. And William Faulkner's Absalom, Absalom, and other works. And Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad. Of course, this is just a small bit of the whole picture, but there's a lot more. Another part of it, which certain things don't find any mention in Gone with the Wind. So one of them is I'm sorry, I forgot to mention it in the presentation, but I think just 2 to 3 years before the Civil War began, there was a rule which came out. I forgot the law, the exact name of the law. I was just reading about it. So, which was basically that any slave who escapes from the plantation, they had a very strict guideline on how they would be punished, and anyone who helped that person to escape in any form or any manner, if they housed them for a day, or if they helped them in any way, gave them any food, whatever. So in any way, if anyone helped them to think, there was a very severe punishment for the same. So if slavery was such a benign and a loving thing, then there should not have been such a law in existence itself. So critics say that Mitchell downplayed the violent role of the Ku Klux Klan and their abuse of the freedmen. So okay, so again here also Ku Klux Klan is only shown as something to protect the white women against black men who tried to disrespect them or harm them or abuse them in some manner. Again, which was not true. It's shown as a very a late night meeting of gentlemen who just sit and talk. It's a very different picture of the Ku Klux Klan is painted, which again was not true at all. So, regarding the historical inaccuracies of the novel, historian Richard N. Currens pointed out, no doubt it is indeed unfortunate that Gone with the Wind perpetuates many myths about Reconstruction, particularly with respect to blacks. Margaret Mitchell did not originate them, and a young novelist can scarcely be faulted for not knowing what the majority of mature professional historians did not know until many years later. So, this also gives a very different picture of Margaret Mitchell. This was the picture which was known to her, revealed to her when she wrote the book. So, how much to blame her for what she wrote is also uh, something which we cannot really talk about. So, one of the questions which I had for discussion. So after I read out the question, feel free to unmute yourself and share either about the question or anything else. So some of the language in the novel feels very painful or outdated today. You know, so did it jar on your reading experience, and did anything shift in your understanding of the story because of it? So my personal view is that when I read the book for the first time, which was about nearly 2 decades ago, I did not realize all these points which I'm talking to you about. And but this time when I read the book, it was really jarring on the reading experience, and it really felt that I could feel that this is wrong. How could she say this? So please feel free to unmute yourself and do share your experience of reading the book.
I didn't find it jarring either because I think when I read it, we were not that woke at all, like we are now.
Correct.
So it was all right. And I have read other book. There's a book of Negroes where the word is, it's like I know it's like a product of its time. In fact, I found it weird that when they'd say hell or damn, they'd like apologize, sorry, sorry. And then they'd say darky so seamlessly in the
Correct.
conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, language evolves. I
Yeah.
could get that.
God's nightgown was something which I read.
Yeah, it was
Yeah. I was like, what do
so
they even
sweet.
mean? God's nightgown.
Yeah, so that.
Mm.
And then every time she uses fiddle dee 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 like that. That is another expression.
Yeah. Fiddle dee dee dee. I remember reading that fiddle dee dee in somewhere else also.
Fiddle dee dee.
Acha.
I don't know, some children's fiction from the older times, if I'm not wrong. I don't know which one it is.
It does sound familiar.
So Tulika, you reread it now, right?
Yeah.
So now did it jar on you? Did you feel a difference?
No.
No, also it didn't feel
It
like
didn't.
Yeah.
It is just
enjoying
actually
the
the
story.
wokeness. I know it as a new concept, so I'm never so shocked. Like how our children are shocked by things.
Correct.
I mean, I know it. Maybe I'm too old to actually get. I wouldn't
No,
say.
actually, when you are reading it in that context, no? So
Correct.
why should you feel anything? I mean,
Correct. Yeah.
you are in that period, so it's all right.
You just accept it. Yeah, that's the
Yeah, but you are not thinking it is not a question of right or wrong, but it is of that particular period. So
And
that is how it will be.
This
So
is, yeah.
It is contextual. We can put it.
Exactly.
Right.
And also you
Because
see it from
the
her
language
eyes.
spoken is by a black, and
Correct.
the language period actually some 90-year-old. So I feel it. And in another book also we came across similar expressions, particularly when English was spoken by blacks. Those words never N apostrophe ER type of a thing.
Massa, they say massa instead of master. That's
So
yeah, that's how they talk.
Anyway, first congratulations on Golden Jubilee of Harvard Book Club. It's happening that the book club, its inception 5 years ago, and it is discussing its 50th book.
Correct. It's so.
And I thank ma'am for this milestone.
Nothing. I know it wouldn't have been possible without all of you.
Luckily, I had been a part of this journey. Maybe I have missed 3 or 4 discussions due to my being unwell or connectivity issues. And I also thank my co-travelers and other participants. It was a wonderful job. But this book is a tome, 1050 pages, the edition I got, Scribner. And it is published 90 years ago in 36, if you roughly. And particularly when there was a poll to postpone the date of discussion to 21st from 14th, I was the first fellow who was in favor of it because I was running in areas. The size of the book itself unnerves. Maybe Tulika madam, second read, it must have been comfortable to her. But for me,
I literally put my life on hold and I raced through it. It was that's how you should read it.
Yeah. It's such a, despite the length, it never feels lengthy, right?
That is a fact. That is a fact.
Few hundred pages, I think you can't put it down.
Exactly correct. It drives you. The book, the hand holds you and takes you along with it. That is the beauty of the book. But the longest book we read was of Alex Haley, the Roots. We read it. And maybe we can put it Shashi Tharoor's book or some other. But Roots, I will still remember. That is the longest book we have taken up for discussion in our.
Correct.
But the book merits rereading. That is what I also feel.
100%.
Anytime you feel like you can refer any of the paragraphs, any of the pages, and you can just enter into and read. That is a comfort level with the book.
Correct. Somehow, when we were reading Thornbirds also, I felt that style of writing and that the way of that epic telling of the story is very similar to. Did you feel that, Tulika?
Yeah, same. Like even Gerald and his wife, they had the same. Did he say Gerald? Like I forget. The dad in Thornbirds and his wife, they had a similar thing. She had a love affair and then she couldn't get married. It was exact. And did you notice Drogheda came up in Gone with the Wind?
Okay, I didn't notice that. Okay.
Yeah, it comes up because Gerald is from somewhere. It's a place in Ireland. Drogheda is. It's not in Australia as in
Okay.
Thornbirds, but it
Uh-huh.
does come up in the book. And I was like, "Arey, Drogheda is here." It's fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes up. I think Gerald है ना उसका नाम, I keep forgetting. He's from there.
Ah, okay.
Khalid's dad is from somewhere there. And there's
Okay.
one where there's a place where she says, I won't go hungry, I won't go hungry. And that is a reminder of some scarcity that they had faced in Drogheda long back,
Mm,
our ancestors.
correct.
So I was very kicked. It was very Thornbirds for me.
Yeah, very, very
Very
Thornbirds. When I
similar.
read Thornbirds also,
Yeah.
I remembered this. And when I was reading this now, I was remembering Thornbirds. So I was thinking,
Hmm.
okay, there's something which, as ties them both, the way of storytelling or the
Right.
epic kind of moment of the story, I think. Something which ties them.
But before
Thank
taking
you.
up this book for reading, were anyone aware of the Civil War, fall of Confederacy, and suffering that South? I was not aware, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, even
I
I
didn't.
wasn't.
I didn't read much about American literature at those periods.
Hmm.
So that makes you again to get deeper into the book. Otherwise, you can't get the back. That is the background, and without that, it will be difficult to understand. My knowledge was meager in this particular area.
Hmm.
That is one thing that made me to go slow as a matter of those particular paragraphs are concerned. Maybe if I miss some history, I will be missing the story here.
Hmm.
That was I was apprehensive of. That is another thing. But there, in addition, there are certain paragraphs and dialogues actually. They warrant a second rating, particularly when this Butler and Scarlett they speak 1 or 2 pages each response actually. It's a beautiful language. There is a lot of, I felt there is a lot of literary flourish in
Hmm.
those books. Language also, it makes you to read again. That's why I suggested anytime you open any page, actually you find something worthy in it.
Hmm. That's true. I think that's why it's endured like over so many decades. It's still a huge
That
favorite.
is the thing. It's 90
Yeah.
years back and we discuss it today. The
Mm,
same enthusiasm, same involvement, and willingness to go deeper and deeper into the history that is long forgotten even by own people here. Here I can't say Americans. Instantly I'm here, that is the thing.
yeah.
But Pat Conroy has made a good statement, madam. You might have come across in his preface.
Mm-hmm.
If you permit me, I will read it out actually.
Sure, please.
Gone with the Wind is a war novel, a historical romance, a comedy of manners, a bitter lamentation, cry of the heart, and a long, cold-hearted look at the character of this one lovely Machiavellian southern woman. He was referring to Scarlett. The preface is outstanding. I read it twice. Hello? Madam, you are
Yeah,
muted.
I'm sorry. Yes,
You
please.
are muted, madam.
Yeah,
Actually.
you can hear me
That
now?
preface, no issue. That
Yeah.
preface you have gone through, ma'am, by Pat Conroy.
No, I did not go through. It's not there in my edition if I'm right.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
will try to, if I can share those.
Yeah, if you can. I
He has
don't have
written
a
it.
preface at all.
I see.
Uh,
But this is a script printed by Scribner, and I got it in a second-hand book here. I
oh,
told
okay.
my son he got it from other place,
So
eBay or whatever he was saying.
this
It's
is by
prefaced by Pat. Huh.
Wilco has like republished this, Wilco and Fingerprint are republishing a lot of the classics. And they put all these nice, beautiful covers and gold things and all that stuff, and they do it. But this doesn't have preface because I
This
think
is the book I had.
very nice. Okay.
I covered it actually because it
Oh,
was a second-hand book and it will take longer time to read. I
correct,
didn't
correct.
like get
Do
it
share a
spoiled.
photo of the preface,
The
Shah.
3-4 pages it is worthy because it is positively about he has written so much about the book. And he was equating this book in his home, sitting side by side with the Bible.
Oh.
That is the thing actually. And as far as characters are concerned, the story moves around 4: Scarlett, Melanie, Butler, Ashley, and they are of depth. All 4. Forget about other people. These 4 characters actually they hold your hand and see that you go from page 1 to the last 1050th page. That is what I felt. Scarlett is main.
Mm.
And the book also begins with her.
Yeah. Melanie is
Scarlett O'Hara,
also really amazing, and she also stands out in your mind, actually.
you fall in love with her, if I would say, for
Yeah.
her soft personality, the
Mm.
wise
But very
reactions.
strong.
She is physically very weak and got compensated through her mentally being very strong. She guides even this, as you said,
Yeah,
butler.
correct.
He finds solace in her, even not even in Scarlett.
Mm.
Uh,
Correct.
and all black people. And she sets up those communities,
Mm.
suing all those things, and a beautification of graves. She has got leadership qualities as well.
Yes.
Melanie is, I accept. If you put Scarlett on one side, you can put Melanie on the other. Similarly, if you put Butler on one side, you can put Ashley on the other. Quite contrasting characters, these two. So it makes a very interesting reading, actually.
True.
And Scarlett is very strong, actually. Apart from all these things, she has got skills that never were taught to her. We have not heard that she was taught mathematics, running a business, shooting a trained soldier in the face.
Mm.
Parallelly, she also lacks many of the virtues. Accepting courage. She is selfish, unprincipled, ruthless, and then greedy and dominating, but with a backbone of supple, springing steel. That is what a phrase I read, actually.
Mm.
Uh,
Sometimes I don't know, I just wonder, maybe because it is a woman, are we kind of telling her that she's so ruthless, or
yes, you are
is
right
it
on that. Whether
or
it is a male character or a female character,
yeah, we would have told he has
she,
been so good in
oh,
surviving despite everything.
exactly. All 1050 pages are on her shoulders. That is what I felt.
Correct, true.
And that is another thing, actually, it draws you to the book. She's so
Yeah,
strong,
right.
so Machiavellian. That's what the word is. How she manipulates even at the last moment when nobody is there to watch her. What is that?
Right.
That farm, lumber farm or whatever it is. She manipulates that fellow who comes again, that Frank or somebody. Come and work with me.
Yes,
She drives people. She makes a lot of money.
true.
No, it is an outstanding character.
Yes,
Of course, that is what I found. All four characters are strong in their own areas. They are not comparables.
correct.
And madam, did you come across where from this Gone with the Wind has come?
That
This
I
place.
marked it and kept it actually. In my
Ah,
book, it is about, I think, it's in page number uh 288.
that means that when he goes to Tara, she goes
Yeah,
there
she
where the
says,
house
was
is.
Tara still standing, or was Tara also gone with the wind, which had swept through Georgia? So
Oh,
that is
oh.
the sentence which is there.
But this particular phrase actually is from a poem, madam, from
Yes, it's
Ernest
from a
Dowson
poem I heard. Ah.
that I had to dig and find out.
Mm.
Sayonara.
Mm-hmm.
I have forgot much, Sayonara, gone with the wind.
Mm.
Flung roses righteously with the throng, dancing to put the pale lost lilies out of mind.
Mm.
But I was desolate and sick of an old passion, all the time, because the dance was long. I have been faithful to thee, Sayonara, in my passion. It is also explores theme of lost love and longing, as you already said it.
Correct.
The poem's poignant lines express a sense of melancholy, if you observe,
Mm.
in the passage of time, which resonates with the emotional depth found in Mitchell's novel. So
Mm.
it's very appropriate title that also.
True.
Overall, it was a wonderful experience. That's what I
Yes.
would say. And I feel like reading, as I said, random reading, not open a page. Wherever your hand touches, you can feel it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamal Raoji. I also wanted to welcome uh, Dharma Samvardhini auntie.
Welcome,
Please
madam.
unmute yourself. You're muted.
Yeah, you can call me Gauri. That's my official
Gauri.
name. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Gauri auntie.
I am your mother's classmate sister
Yes.
from Thoothukudi. Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful to have you join us.
Yeah, I just saw in Facebook today. Then I thought, Gone with the Wind is one of my favorite books. I thought I would like to join the discussion today. That's it.
Wonderful. Did you also do literature?
No, I did from Stella Maris. I did economics, but
Okay.
everybody who's learned in that school will have a love for classics. You can't go without it. It was imbibed in us
Oh,
through the
wonderful.
principal and very good English teachers we had. So it was part of our thing to read a lot. That's how we are. Our whole family, I think, Viji, Uma, all of them read, no?
Yes, all of them. Yeah.
I think most of the Tuticorin girls are voracious readers, well
I
informed
keep
also.
expecting them to join us, but I'm so glad you joined us today. But
Yeah,
most
today I just
yeah.
happened to see in the morning. Otherwise, I've never come across. I didn't know about this. And I just said, okay, let me just put in one word.
So next time, bring them along also.
Yeah, I will tell them. When I'm going to Thoothukudi now, I'll tell them also.
Sure.
Okay.
You want to share anything about the book or your
No,
experience?
nothing. I'm not prepared for it. I just saw your invite in the morning.
Yeah.
So
It's okay.
next time,
Not to be prepared
I'll
or
do.
anything. Just whenever you feel
I
anything.
just like the book, so I thought I'll hear what
When
you're
was
saying.
your first time reading it? It must be.
I think in school when 10th or 11th I read.
Oh,
But
wow.
I've reread it many times.
Oh, wonderful.
I saw the
Thank
movie,
you,
but
ma'am.
somehow I was not impressed with the movie when I was in UK, my
Okay.
daughter's place. I think BBC or one of the channels had a movie, but I wasn't very impressed. The book is so, it's so picturesque. After that movie in 2.5 hours seems disappointing to me. I think there was a sequel to it. Somebody wrote another book following this, I think.
I think actually
My cousin told me.
my
I
mother
haven't
was also
read.
telling me that the second book is called Scarlet.
Scarlet, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's called
My cousin
Scarlet.
told me, but I have not come across the book. I have not read
Okay.
it. But she
I was
told me it's
supposed to
very
search for it.
disappointing. She wasn't like very impressed like how it
She
gone
didn't
with
like
the
it?
wind. She didn't. My cousin didn't like. It's something
Okay.
personal. She said
Okay.
not to that stage, Akka. It wasn't very, very great, she said.
Okay.
No, yeah, it was very boring. Like I read it.
Oh, okay.
I had a whole phase of like when I was younger, so it was really very, very boring.
Okay.
Yeah. See here.
Oh, you have it. Okay.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it's in that much better condition because it's not been read and reread.
Great. So is that also a huge one, Tulika?
Yeah, exactly. One second, huh? Small print,
Oh my
very
God,
small
it looks
print and another
enormous.
1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, another 800 pages.
Wow.
Yeah, why would anybody? No, I
Yeah,
would
give
never.
us a condensed summary. What happens?
Oh, she goes off, she follows Rhett and she goes off to Charleston, and it's just, and of course, I think it was written only to show that they get back together in the end. Only for that reason, I feel. And that does happen.
So she gets back to him, then that's it. They get back together.
They get back together. So that was it.
Tulika, I want to add something since you're talking about Scarlet.
Okay.
I haven't read the book, but it's one book about which I have consistently heard the same thing. Don't read it. It's very disappointing.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very.
Okay.
Yeah. It's boring. And this is another book, like Gone with the Wind is one of the few books where I didn't like the protagonist at all. But still, I like the book, like Wuthering Heights. Just I didn't like Scarlett at all. Nothing to do with her being a woman or whatever. I just felt she had no compunctions, she was cruel. The way she treats it, she's a survivor. So to that extent.
So survivor extent, I think I kind of liked her. I felt she was most cruel to Rhett. No, I was feeling like he's so loving to her in a very different way, probably. If he had been the decent kind of loving to her, she wouldn't have respected him at all. But even otherwise, I felt in so many places, it felt so cruel. Like when she goes and blames him after the kid dies.
Yeah, he also wouldn't say. He just kept waiting. Oh my God, I didn't like both of them.
Yeah.
He just waited. Just say na and get it over with.
Correct.
I hate this kind of books when they will both not say. And Scarlett was nasty to Ashley also. Like she drags him. He doesn't want to go. He's not unmanly, by the way, Archana.
You don't feel that? Okay.
Whenever she seeks any help, she goes to him only. She gets helped by him, by Red.
He
Yeah, by
doesn't
Red.
want to come there. He doesn't want to go to the mill. That's not his thing. He
Mm.
drags him there, and then she keeps finding him unfit. Why push somebody into a job?
I was feeling if he's really manly enough, Tulika, he should have put his foot down, stood by his wife, stood by his family values, left the place, right? That is why I felt all the more that what is this? He's just getting bullied by her, following her, whatever she
But
says.
she says it's for Melanie. You have to go there for her. Melanie says, please come, please come. Don't roll your eyes. Yeah. Actually, what he keeps saying is very true. He's a man from a different era, forced to live in a different time. So I kind of felt for that poor man being dragged around by this woman. But yeah, and he was not a coward. He was just old timey.
And maybe he felt very bound to her because she had taken care of Melanie.
And Melanie says, we have to go, let's go with Scarlett. We can't leave.
Correct.
So,
We can't ignore the age gap between them.
Yeah, that's another thing.
19 and that man is 45 years.
Who's 45?
Red
Red Butler.
Red is 45.
And she's 28.
Correct. Yeah.
So, as for level of maturity is concerned, naturally Scarlett will be lower.
True.
Yeah.
That's very true.
That could be a reason for their difference, or these tantrums like that of a small kid, small child, and other things. Accept, reject, mature reactions. And you find a lot of mature dialogues and mature responses from him, whereas they are absent from Scarlett. I find the difference could be a age factor as well.
Correct. And she grew up in such horrible times that she didn't have the time to actually mature properly. She's like suddenly forced to grow up. So she remains a child.
Exactly.
Emotionally, she's still a child.
Correct. Very correct, actually. And all said and done, we have learnt only about her 2 years of life from 16 to 18. Her life, that is only we have observed.
Correct. And also maybe, maybe hunger and poverty makes people as selfish as that also. We don't know.
Absolutely.
That mature. Challenges in life make one mature. I accept it. And you become more polished.
Correct. I read this thing of J.K. Rowling's interview in one of her interviews where she says that suddenly when she's sleeping in the night, she would get these dreams that once again she's with a small baby, she's penniless, she doesn't know what is going to happen, whether she can survive and all that. And she would suddenly wake up in the middle of the night, like fully drenched in sweat. And she would immediately call her that accountant come investor. There was some person who takes care of her money. So she says, I don't mind. It might be even 2 in the night. And I would be like calling him up and asking him, is everything okay? All is fine. Are my savings here? I was like, is everything in this good place? So probably that kind of, has that a very traumatic feel, gives a traumatic thing to a person.
Exactly. That is correct.
So.
And she is young for all said and done.
Correct.
She is not that big an
age. But that was an age when they got married at around that 18, 20 and all that, right?
The story opens, she was 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And where
she marries.
Says, it's 18 years.
Correct. Would you like to share anything, Meenal and Shubhi? I didn't ask them.
Yeah, really. I was anyway, when Tulika spoke about, when you all spoke about Scarlett, I also remembered, and actually earlier I was thinking about the Thornbirds, but that also came up while you guys were talking. I did not have much to say because I read both Thornbirds, the Thornbirds and Gone with the Wind a while ago. But I have a feeling that would have aged better. It might be still a little more not really relevant, but it wouldn't rile you up so much.
That's really true. It really stands the test of time well. It's a story. So
it's more so even I was thinking about the Thornbirds, though I've not read both of them in recent times. But when you're trying to remember how Gone with the Wind made you feel, I was thinking I'm probably confusing it with the way the Thornbirds made me feel. And I think liked the Thornbirds more, even back then. I read the two in the same year, I think.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so,
That's a
but yeah,
softer, gentler book,
I
Thornbirds.
think that I can reread. I haven't reread
Hmm.
Gone with the Wind, and I don't think I will. But the Thornbirds, I feel I might want to revisit, and I might still like it. But
We
Yeah.
did
these
it
are
in the
big
book
books.
club, Shruti.
I know. So that's why I was keeping my mouth shut that I haven't read it. In the recent times, I let the others talk about the comparison, if any.
Hmm.
Thanks, Shubhi. Thanks for that. Yes, Meenal, would you like to share something?
Yes, I mean, this is one book that has left an indelible impression on my mind. It's not easy to forget. Actually, I love this couple, both Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara. Yes, of course, she's an extremely flawed character. She has a lot of faults, but that I think she is a victim of circumstances because those days, I mean, she did fight for survival under really, really extraordinary circumstances. It's not easy to survive, in a world that is destroyed by war. And she's so young and she's never seen this kind of privation or deprivation. Um, so probably that's why Mitchell has shown her as a very, very complex character. So in many ways, I did sympathize with her. Although, of course, we would like to criticize her for her selfishness, for her manipulation, for her emotional cruelty, for her blindness to suffering around her. But yet, I really understand her, and I felt that had I been in her place, probably even I would have acted the same way. Um, Deep in her heart, I somehow felt that though she treated Rhett very badly, in the end, actually, she realizes how much she truly loved him. And or whatever her feelings for Ashley were probably not true love. Probably. And though she treated Rhett badly, actually, he was the one she loved. As far as Rhett Butler is concerned, I think that he really protected people he loved. Look at the way he treated his daughter Bonnie. I just loved. I think he was a wonderful father. He was a wonderful husband also. I mean, how much consideration, care, concern, and he knew everything about Scarlett. Her taste, what she would like, what would make her happy, and he did so many things to surprise her. So I found all that extremely romantic. I just loved his character. Yeah. And he was a kind of a person who never, bothered about keeping up appearances. There was nothing of any kind of social pretense in him. He's a kind who would call a spade a spade. Extremely honest. I mean, brutally honest. Extremely chivalrous. So I loved all those qualities about him. And I think of all the books that I have read, I consider this couple as the most romantic and a couple and an unforgettable couple. So these were my thoughts about Rhett and Scarlett.
Thank you, Meenal. Very true, actually. Given a choice between them, I felt Rhett is much more, much better than even Scarlett. In fact, she hurts him so much more than what he hurts her.
In a way, I felt she deserved.
Yeah.
Rhett finally abandoning her because of the way she treated him.
Correct.
She deserved that. That's what I felt. But I felt very sorry for Rhett because he tried so hard.
He tried so hard. It was very surprising, because she had that picture of Ashley in her head. So despite all that he tried, she never really saw it.
He did not respond. So she came across as extremely hard-hearted.
Yeah, true.
And merciless and ruthless and all that, and extremely selfish.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for that, at least I felt she deserved what she got in the end.
Mm. True, very true.
Such an image of Ashley that she couldn't look beyond him, which was very
Yeah.
sad for Red. Though I'm not a Red fan also. He's very cool, but he doesn't bother about social things till he's making money. But when he has the daughter and he feels she needs it, he's all out quoting it. So I found that so duplicitous.
Yeah.
At
Very
one
manipulative.
Yeah, it's very manipulative. But
Yeah.
and also love for him meant pampering. Whether it was his daughter, the movie. Did you see the movie?
No, I saw the movie when I read it the first times, that
Watch
many
it.
decades ago, and I
Yeah.
don't know, somehow I can't remember it at all. It feels
Good.
very
Good you
wiped
don't
out.
remember it. I didn't like the movie at all.
Oh, okay.
Somehow, yeah, the book is way better. As in, I think our imaginations do it more justice than the movie. So
Mhm.
I had that thing about Red, but I just wish Scarlett would have seen him for what he is. That was
Yeah.
tragic. That
Yeah.
is tragic, yeah. The
Yeah.
first
And
time
what
I read
I
it, sorry,
What
go
one
ahead.
thing I couldn't fathom was how a person as headstrong as Scarlett, could be so obsessed with such a spineless weakling like Ashley. I really felt they were so as different as chalk and cheese, and they were incompatible. And why Scarlett couldn't see through that.
Maybe
See,
at some point, like she liked Melanie, she saw the attributes which she admired but did not have, like what her mother had. In the end, she says, "Na, she looked to Melanie as somewhat like she looked up to her mom." So probably,
Melanie, okay, but Ashley, I'm saying, right?
see,
Yeah.
that's what the same. Those old-fashioned values. Maybe she was conditioned to kind of. The weird thing was in the others, she would not like those same attributes. But in Ashley, she would like those same attributes.
So she was really blind to all
Yeah,
his faults.
absolutely.
That
Yeah.
is what.
100%. She was just blind. She couldn't look beyond him.
Mm.
Yeah. And although I still don't agree he was spineless, I still feel he was just a man from a different era. Like I was talking to Suchi and I said, like, there are people of peace and there are people of war. I wonder in times of peace what Scarlett would have done. She would have been a total misfit. When there
Yeah.
were no wars to be fought, she would have been, I don't know, self destructive or whatever, because she was always looking. In fact, she says that, people are just content to be where they are, but she's always looking towards the next battle, this ambition, then this, then this. So in times
Tomorrow
of
is another day. Tomorrow is another day.
yeah, that
Other day.
that.
Yeah.
So
Very
No,
she
Ashley is,
optimistic.
see, he is a nice person, but then he was, unfortunately, he could not move with the time. I mean, the whole thing, his world changed and he could not change. So we can't
But
call
he
him
keeps on,
spineless.
I felt there is a very underlying way in which he keeps encouraging Scarlett to keep continuing her craze for him, right? There are
no,
many
no.
No,
instances where
he
he does
never,
that.
He also likes her at some level.
Yeah,
So that's not, he's not encouraging her out of, because he wants her to love him. He's holding himself back constantly. It slips through once or twice.
correct.
But, you can't hold him responsible for Scarlett's obsession. It just is.
Mm.
She is fully responsible for that, for not being able to, get over him.
Correct.
Had she let him go, probably she could have, but she drags him along. That also she won't let.
Yeah, that she does.
So yeah.
Yeah, true. How was
And
your
in the last,
experience, Suchi, of reading the book?
No, I didn't read it now. That's why I'm keeping quiet.
Okay.
I
It's
read
been
it
some
some
time.
time back.
Okay.
It's been quite some time. I don't even remember when I read it last.
Oh.
That is the thing.
She was traveling on the 14th, so she thought no point reading it, and then it got pushed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mom, would you like to share something? I think for my mother, by the time she pushes my nephew off and wants the mic, takes some time. Anyway, we'll wait for her to respond. Mom, whenever you're free, please unmute and share what. Okay. Meanwhile, I just have a little bit more of the presentation. Yeah. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I just wanted to read a Goodreads review. So this was very huge, long review, which was written of all the places where the book angered him and everything. He had given complete, uh, portions from the book and described it and written all about it. But just the last few pages, what he says about the book is something I thought we should share. So for us, basically, I think we are not from US. We are not directly affected by this whole, thing. So slavery and the African Americanism and racism and all these things are not affecting us. So maybe it's a little more easier for us to talk about it. But for them, it's very difficult when they read the book. So what he says is, look, I'm not trying to be politically correct here. That's not even a thing. It's a term made up by haters to excuse hate. Gone with the Wind angered me. I don't like hearing black people described as stupid monkeys over and over again. Yes, it happens many times in the book, and she also calls them ape in a few places. So I didn't enjoy reading the book because I was constantly pissed off by how ignorant and hateful it is. It was racist at the time it was written. It is racist now. Racism is the point and the message, and to ignore it is to disrespect its author's intentions, which were racist. Books matter. We use stories to describe and define society. If we allow this book to become part of the foundation of our past, if we call it a classic, as some people have, we are basing our past on a terrible lie. And it is a terrible lie in case we need to say that out loud. Slavery was bad. Black people didn't like it. Almost everyone else didn't either. And the South were the bad guys in the Civil War. And books are also our companions. When we choose to read, we are spending significant amounts of time, hours and hours, deep in their worlds. This companion is full of hate. These hours and hours will be spent listening to her yell about insolent niggers. It's the most racist book I've ever read. I didn't like it.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Some quotes from the book. So, burdens are for shoulders strong enough to carry them. After all, tomorrow is another day. I think these are like classic ones.
Yeah.
So, my dear, I don't give a damn. So, this is also, I think, such a classic sentence. Yeah.
Butler.
Yes. Until you've lost your reputation, you never realize what a burden it was or what freedom really is.
Yeah, I love this quote.
Yeah.
So good.
Death, taxes, and childbirth. There's never any convenient time for any of them. Dear Scarlett, you aren't helpless. Anyone as selfish and determined as you are is never helpless. God help the Yankees if they should get you.
Yes.
Life's under no obligation to give us what we expect. We take what we get and are thankful it's no worse than it is. You're so brutal to those who love you, Scarlett. You take their love and hold it over their heads like a whip. Again, that was another, yeah. And apologies, once postponed, become harder and harder to make and finally impossible. This was also such a beautiful quote. Yeah. That is the one unforgivable sin in any society. Be different and be damned. Okay, so something about the author when I'm mentioning this sentence is that so she also had a lot of issues in she was more like Scarlett in her real life, the truth. At a point of time, she was engaged to 5 different men at the same time. Okay, and so finally, five men at the same time. And also, there were 2 men whom she was meeting constantly over a period of time, just before her marriage. So one was this guy who was called Red, and Red and his roommate. Both of them were courting her at the same time, and every single day she would meet both of them. And then finally she got married to Red. And after marrying Red, after I think, I don't know, 1 or 2 years or whatever, she divorced him and then she married the roommate.
Wow.
And when during her time as one of the like as a youngster, so there was this dance which show which she had given, and again there were some few dances which were considered as not good, and they were banned from society, like good women wouldn't dance this way and all that. So she did that dance with someone, and at the end of the dance they actually kissed, which was like a shocker at that point of time. And so this is very true of her. So it was like a huge thing. She was very different, and she was damned in society because of that. After that, there was a lot of thing against her, talk against her, and all that. So at one point of time, she used to be called as Peggy in her childhood, in her teenage years. So she wanted to give the character the name Peggy instead of Scarlett. Then later on, she changed it because she didn't want it to seem so much like her also. So she changed it to Scarlett. So, okay, one more quote. Vanity was stronger than love at 16, and there was no room in her hot heart now for anything but hate. This was in the beginning of the book. Okay, so this one was again I found it very funny. So, I'm going away tomorrow for a long time and fear that if I wait till I return, you'll have married someone else with a little money. So I thought, why not me and my money? Really, Scarlett, I can't go all my life waiting to catch you between husbands. Say you'll marry me when I come back, or before God, I won't go. I'll stay around here and play a guitar under your window every night and sing at the top of my voice and compromise you. So you'll have to marry me to save your reputation. And this conversation is happening with her dead husband in the house.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This felt like really a very weird
I
situation.
also felt it discordant.
Yeah.
Dead body on the other side, this man speaks of love and marriage.
I can't go all my life waiting to catch you between husbands. It's like, it is so funny. Yeah. So how closely women clutch the very chains that bind them. That was also another quote. Yeah. So with that, I'm done.
While commenting on Ashley, he has made a comment. Can I put it here in chat?
Yes, sure. Please do.
I put it there.
Yes. So
He
whenever
was commenting on.
yeah, you can read it out, Shamal Raoji.
Okay, just a second. The chat box went down. Whenever the world upends, his kind is the first to perish. And why not? They don't deserve to survive because they won't fight. Don't know how to fight. This is not the first time the world has been upside down, and it won't be the last. But there are always a hardy few who come through, and given time, they are right back where they were before, and the world turned over. This is from Ratte Butler, he speaks actually. So this place is for those who are hard people, not for small people like that. He summed up his personality in this few lines, I felt. That's why I brought the quote.
Yeah.
And there is a message in it also. Well, this world is for people who are strong, not weaklings.
Correct. Very true.
Darwin's theory.
Yeah. Mom, you want to share anything? I don't know if she's there, or maybe my nephew is there, so she's not able to unmute, probably. Okay. Anybody else would like to share anything? So next book we are going to read is The 40 Rules of Love. You remember, right?
Yeah. I forgot, but yeah, now I know. I remember.
So it's the 40 Rules of Love, and our discussion is on 19th December. I thought we'll finish it a little earlier so that we have time. Our holidays and everything will start after that. So yeah, better to keep the
after Chimamanda, I think this is this lady is getting a second book.
Yes, correct. I had wanted to share so many other things, like I had also shot another video. I make this, I'll just show you maybe on screen now. So I just keep a book where I stick all our book club reads.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to share
Yeah,
pictures of this also on Instagram. I thought I'll do it later. So I have
Please share it, madam.
yes,
Please share.
I will share it.
Very
So
interesting.
yeah. So I just stick all the pictures first. So this was our 2020 and 2021, whatever we read. I had a list
Very
of
good.
that. This
You
one I
prepared a
hadn't put
list.
the pictures, but yeah. And this was 2023. All of our
Oh, this looks very nice. Yeah.
yeah, this is 2024.
Ah,
Yeah, it's really
Very
nice
good.
to just go through and see what we've read. And this is like whatever we've read. I've not
White Tiger.
included the last 3
Yeah.
years to be put up still. And then 2025 will be done. Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice memory to just see
Very
what
sweet,
we've
yeah.
done.
Definitely, definitely.
Like a photo album.
The journey we made.
Yeah, I will definitely share this also. I wanted to make this one also as a small video or photos or something and put it up. I'll do
Please
that.
do.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. And maybe I'll put up one more of our confetti. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining in, and thank you so much for
Thank you.
bringing us till the 50th read.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's to many, many more. And
Yeah, we will celebrate 75th.
Yeah, 75th.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Correct. 75th, everyone should come to Bombay and we'll have a in-person celebration.
Yeah, not
Okay.
a bad idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Suchi
That's
and
a good
Tulika are
idea.
quite close by. And Shamal Rauji is also not too far.
No, I'm already far. I'm in California now. As a
Only
matter of fact.
now, but 75th you will be in India, so you can come out.
That's sure. That I'll be there.
Yeah.
No problem. It's a wonderful journey. I relish this. I cherish as a matter of fact.
Really,
Yeah.
Cherish the journey.
same here. Thank you so much.
Because that made me
Shubhi.
actually my reading habit to revive. That is the thing. Reignite or whatever you call it. That helped me to continue my reading habit. So I owe gratitude to you as a matter of sense of gratitude.
Same here with me too. Thank you, Meenal. Thank you, Shubhi. All of you who joined in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Archana. I always enjoy whenever I join in and all the effort you put into the presentation. So thank you so much. And I look forward to being a little more regular.
Oh, please do. It'll be wonderful.
That
Always wonderful.
feedback will you be sharing, madam? That feedbacks.
Oh, that also, yeah.
Which, yeah, the feedback form, I just thought again, that was another thing. I thought I can put up some quotes from whatever you've mentioned again on Instagram or something. So thank you so much. I think Tulika I've not written.
I haven't.
Yeah, it's okay.
Everyone has to write.
Yeah, anyway, I ran out of time also to put up more posts, but I will do so. I'll in some time after Tulika and Suchi and all write in also, then I will make a Instagram post on that and share for the book club.
Because through that we'll know each other
each other's points of view also. And thank you so much for all, all your comments and everything. Really very, very touched. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
you. Congratulations again.
Yeah, congrats to all of us.
Congrats to all of us.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye. See you all. Bye.